Help me ducks, how are we doing? How is everybody's weekend so far? It's lovely to see so many people here chatting. 64 comments already. But yeah, it's lovely to... I always rush to make a drink. Don't know if you've realised, but when I start the music, that's kind of like the there's still time to make a drink bit. Because this is Cuppa, catch-up and cards. So I always start that off, set the music going, and then kettle's already boiled because I boiled it about 10 minutes before, and then make my cuppa. So we all got a cuppa, we're all ready to chat and talk cards and that sort of stuff. Let's do the hellos first. So Patrice, the lovely Patrice was the first one in. How are you? Beautiful cavers. Then we've got Rob, hi Rob, and Sandra, hi Sandra, Dawn, Caroline, we have Jennifer, and we have Redwing, hello Redwing, and Cat, hello Cat. I'll try not to miss anyone. Hershey, nice to see you, and Lily Rose. We've got Frank and David. Hello, David. Feeding My Soul. And Kathy's here. Hi, Kathy. Pink Divination, nice to see you. Javi and Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Sarah and Chris. Sexy Susans. That's so random. Robin, hello Robin, and Nicole. Who else do we have? We have Malamia, hello, nice to see you. How are you doing? Every time I say how you doing, I feel like I'm Joey Tribbiani. Sophia, I'm not Joey Tribbiani, as you can see. Kate, nice to see you, Kate. And Giselle, hello Giselle, how you doing, sis? Robert and Calla. Hi Calla, nice to see you. We have Patsy, hello Patsy. Kim, hi Kim. Trying not to miss anybody out, but then sometimes I say the same name a few times. That doesn't matter though, does it? We've got Janet, nice to see you. And Forever Whereafter. Your Long Shadows. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've seen you before, but welcome. Although your profile thumbnail looks familiar. Have you had a change of channel name? Who else? Crystal Rose. And I think I've caught up. Keith is so pleased you're wearing his pendant. Yeah, so I got my pendant on, and on the as you say, the reverse, it's also a reverse spiral. Yeah, gorgeous. I love it. Really, really love it. So if Keith's watching, thank you, Keith. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be a treasured item. Sure, I saw as well. I've commented, but no lives. That might be where I've seen your little icon from then. Keith is very happy now. Malamir's not been well again. Oh, sorry to hear that. I've had an up and down week as well. Sexy Susan is from Schitt's Creek. I've watched Schitt's Creek from beginning to end. I don't remember the Sexy Susan bit in it. She wasn't a character, was she? Is it like a catchphrase? It feels like a long time ago now. I watched it in lockdown. Gosh, even that feels... I mean, 3 years. We were coming out of the first kind of lockdown this time 3 years ago, weren't we? Because we did a tarot meetup in Glastonbury in the August, and there was I think it was about 5, because we didn't know until the last minute whether you could get a hotel or whether hotels are going to be allowing people to stay. So, oh, you're not sick, are you, Simon? No, I was saying about in the week, I've been up and down as well. So I've still had the ongoing issues with my leg. So the saga, because there wasn't a live. Yes, there was a live last Saturday. It was Sunday. I was in London. But I told you last Saturday about the issue with my leg. So it was a lot better. But then I went to London, and I mean, it's London, and you end up doing a lot of walking anyway. And we did a lot of walking, sightseeing, and so I kind of overdid it. I think it worked out. I walked for 12 miles, which was 24,000 steps. So all week it's been playing up again. I'm not going back and getting antibiotics because it's not, it's cleared up in terms of the infection. But yeah, and then also it's been the last week. I've broken up now from work for 2 weeks, so it's been the last week, and it's been pretty full on. And what with London and everything else, I just kind of got to Wednesday and I just crashed and burned. I got home from work, I couldn't keep my eyes open. I went to bed at, like 8 o'clock, I think it was, and slept for like a solid 11 hours, which is something I never do because I'm always up at 5 or 5:30. So yeah, 12 miles, I know. And even now I've still got pressure points under my feet. Oh dear, I should have bought trainers or something like that, but it is what it is, and it was fantastic. 24,000 steps will almost walk off the wine. I didn't have any wine, if only. We went to Soho, and it was lovely. Apparently it was raining back here all day. But down in London, it was very cloudy in the morning when we arrived at the Abba arena. But in the afternoon, we went to Watkins Books. So if you did see my videos in the week, you'll see I picked up a couple of decks in Watkins Books. And from there, we took a walk in Soho, and we sat outside this lovely little restaurant type bistro on Old Compton Street. And I had a pint of cider. It was so refreshing. And just to take that, when you sit down, you've been stood up and walking. Because when we came out of the Abba arena, we decided not to get the DLR, which is the train, but to walk to a nearby underground. So we ended up walking all the way through where the Olympic Village and everything is, and walking all the way to the Westfield shopping centre and picking up the underground there. But it was about half an hour walk. Abba Arena, yes, Robin. Oh, it was. I can't put it into words. I cannot. I've tried to explain it to people at work this week and friends. I can understand why it's in a purpose-built arena and why it can't ever tour. Not just because they're avatars, but because the arena itself is kind of part of this show. It's spectacular. And the lights and things that come down from the ceiling, the way that the walls are all screens, so there's things happening all around you, and it's just mind-blowing. That I came out of there and I was like, I wasn't expecting that. Everybody has said, that have gone, it's amazing, you'll love it. But it's just an experience, and I'd probably do it again. It's expensive to say you're not actually watching them. There is a live band, and there are backing singers on the stage as well. But obviously it's all about Abba and the avatars. But yeah, it messes with you because you think they're there. It looks like they're there. And they interact with the audience and talk to you, even though they're appearing as they looked in 1979, which was the last time they performed in London. They look like that, they're talking to you in the present tense. So, you know, Bjorn starts off by saying, it's 44 years since we last appeared here in London. He makes a joke about the fact that the area is called Pudding Hill, and they all take it in turns to talk to the audience, but they're not there. And then at the end, no, I'm not going to spoil it, just in case you go. I'm not going to say anything else because, yeah, I don't want to give no spoilers. Oh dear. A little bit croaky as well. So let's see what you've been saying. I've seen my name tagged a couple of times. He is and is very delighted. I'm here too. Hello, Soul Dreamer. Nice to see you. And Tamaya, nice to see you. I've seen it like 4 times now and love it. Oh, Schitt's Creek. I think about the Abba show. I was like, oh, you've been to London 4 times? Because it has been on a while. The show opened 14 months ago. I think initially it was going to run for 3 years, but I've heard that they're now planning on 5. I won't be surprised if it never leaves, because this was a Sunday matinee, 1 p.m. on a Sunday performance, and it was packed. Not an empty seat in there. And the dance floor area, you know, they were like that. So it was packed. I haven't got to Schitt's Creek yet. Currently on Ted Lasso season 2. I've been watching a few things. So I'm still working my way through Grey's Anatomy, and I've just started season 10. So I'm making really good pace with it. No spoilers, because I know there's still more spoilers and things. But yeah, I'm on just starting season 10 of that. I watched, oh gosh, what's it called? It's a sitcom over here. There's only 6 episodes, because our sitcoms are only ever 6 episodes, just like our dramas. It's about Alan Carr, who's a comedian, but it's about set in the 80s when he was at school. Let me see what it's called. If you can get it, because it's on a download kind of streaming service called ITVX. I'm not sure if you can get that in other countries. If I put Alan Carr sitcom, Changing Ends. Yeah, Changing Ends. And the kid that plays the young Alan Carr is phenomenal. It's so funny, and I love it because it's got an 80s soundtrack. So that's Changing Ends. And Alan Carr makes appearances in it. He pops up every so often as like narrating. So I've watched that. And then I've started watching The Queen of Oz, which is another sitcom. Catherine Tate, who is an institution over here. I love Catherine Tate. She used to have the Catherine Tate show, and she was in Doctor Who. She played Donna in Doctor Who. If you know, outside the country and perhaps haven't heard of her, you know, the runaway bride, Donna, to David Tennant's Doctor. But yeah, so the Queen of Oz, she is a princess in the UK that lives at Buckingham Palace, but she's got this kind of party lifestyle. So she's kind of exiled to become the Queen of Australia. And it's really good. Old Compton Street is where I always go with my friend from school. I wonder if it's the same place where we've sat outside. Cider is best on a summer's day. Yeah, David, I'm not a big cider drinker. I am a cider drinker. Normally I'd have something like a pint of lager, maybe even a dash of lime in it, like lager and lime. Or I might, if it's a really nice sunny day, a nice, really cold, but it has to be really cold, white wine. You know, when it's that cold, it makes your back teeth tingle. But I just fancied a pint of cider, and it was really lovely. And the prices, I was expecting it to be a lot more with it being London. It was £7 for a pint. And I didn't think that was bad because they're like £5.50 in Nottingham. So yeah, I was expecting it to be like a tenner a pint or something, but Your Long Shadows is so good. So many good lines and countless. Yeah, there is. There's a meme from Schitt's Creek for everything. It sounds like my mum would really love that. That makes me feel old. She went wild when I took her to the Tina Turner musical. Yeah, I'd love to have seen Tina Turner live. Hi, Vanessa. Definitely seems like an attraction to keep around. I'm already on the website now. If you can get to London, and I would highly, highly recommend it. It is fantastic. Yellowstone is brilliant on Paramount Plus. Yeah, I don't have Paramount. I mean, I've already got Disney and Netflix and Amazon Prime, and you could just keep going, can't you? Because then there's BritBox, and I'm like, oh, before you know it, you're going to be spending a fortune. I already paid £60 a month just to have Virgin, you know. I know that's broadband and TV, but love Catherine Tate. I love Catherine Tate. Hi, Anne. Nice to see you. Outlander. See, that's probably on something like Paramount or Sky that I don't have. Lots of people. My sister talked about Outlander. I've never seen it. Sad news about Sinead O'Connor. It's really. I saw the news first on your post, Simon. Yeah, it's really tragic. Really tragic. Such a beautiful person, you know, inside and out. Just yeah, it's such a sad loss, especially when somebody goes so young. Is cider in the UK alcoholic or sour? It's alcoholic in the UK. Yeah, it's probably on the same strength as like lager and beer. Sandra's answered that. Outlander, wonderful. Someday I'd love to go to Scotland. It's such a beautiful country. Yeah, I had a very fleeting visit to Scotland. First time I'd ever gone was in 2018 when I had my little tour around. But where we stayed was in between Edinburgh and Glasgow, in between two locks. And it was a YouTuber, actually, although, well, I say YouTuber, she didn't make content, but was very active in chats and things, and invited me to go and stay in the little caravan that they had on there. It's like a farmhouse. But it was beautiful in between these two locks. And we went for a walk in the night time. I only stayed for the 2 days, well, 2 nights, 3 days. And it was pitch black. I've never seen anything so dark. You couldn't see if you put your hand in front of you. But then we had a beautiful starry sky. We had the stillness of the lock. Beautiful. So I'd love to go back to Scotland. Giselle and I often talked about renting a Winnebago, more like a camper van probably, and going to Scotland. I am a yes, you knew what. I didn't think anybody would get that reference. I am a cider drinker. I drinks it all of the day. Oh, they performed at your dad's local pub. We had the single, the vinyl single. My dad bought it when I was a kid. I drinks it all of the day. Yeah. Was it the Wurzels? The Wurzels sound familiar. Have I had pear cider? It's fab, yeah. We've got all the fruit ciders over here. They're really popular, actually. And then there's some very unusual flavoured ones. So when we was in the Georgian Pilgrims, it was when Sandra L and I went. We sampled a few because there was Pam-A Violet cider. That one was nice. Sticky toffee apple. Yeah, there was these quite unusual ones. Rhubarb and custard, I think, was one. Yes. Let's do the trip. We should. Sinead O'Connor reminds me of Becca, or is it just me? Just maybe the short hair. I've never ever made or thought about that as an association. The Wurzels, it is the Wurzels. The Wurzels played at my friend's wedding. Wow. Dawn says, we went to Scotland and I was really hoping to see a red squirrel. I only saw a squashed one by the road, though, unfortunately. Oh, dear. Yes, the Wurzels. Oh, yes, Toffee Apple. Hello, Beth. Nice to see you. How are you? So I've got a latte. Made it myself. What's everybody else got as a cuppa? And then we will start the discussion, which today, if you saw from the comments, is a revisit of my top 10 RWS decks. Can you believe it was 2017 when I did top 10 tarot RWS version, and that out of all I've got, I think it's 1,500 and something videos on my channel. Do you know when I started and hit that button and I did my first live and it was a tag response to Arwen Lynch? I remember thinking, well, I've done that now, but I ain't got nothing else to say. This ain't going to last long. Obviously, I've got more gab in me than I realised, because 1,500 and something videos later, here I am. So, but I literally thought, I ain't got anything to talk about. Wine obs. Giselle? Wine obs? Oh, wine, obviously. You've got wine. Saturday night, why not? Can't fault you. Obs, because we use the word obs all the time at work. Obs, and it's observations. So I was like, wine obs. What? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it was September 2017, so almost 6 years ago. And it's the most popular video on my channel. If you go to my channel, you can watch oldest, newest, most popular. I think it's got something like 26,000 views. And even more popular than top 10 tarot decks of all time, which isn't specific to, you know, because then I've done like Favorite Marseille or this, but the top 10 RWS decks is my most popular video by thousands. And then 18 months later, in March of 2019, I updated it. And then there was a lot of people saying, oh, you should do it again. You should do it again. I bet it's changed. So in October, another 18 months later of 2020, I did an updated version. And that was 3 years ago. And I've never revisited it. And I've had a few comments from people saying, has your RWS taste changed? You should redo it, because people seem to enjoy that. But it was yesterday, I was watching oh my gosh, not Earth, Wild Earthways, the channel, Kat, I think her name is, from Wild Earthways. And she was doing a video about RWS and choosing her RWS, the one that she felt comfortable with. And it kind of reminded me to do this tag, because I have a note section on my iPad where I jot down ideas of things to discuss at some point. So like last week, we talked about gatekeeping. That was something I've been pondering for quite some time. So I'll make notes so I don't forget, because I'm a really forgetful person. And yeah, when I watched the video, I thought, actually, I need to do that. So I'm going to attempt to do it. And I always find them really enjoyable doing top 5, top 10, whatever it is, Oracle, Tarot, you know, divination systems. I really find them enjoyable, but the RWS one, I find the most challenging of all of them, because I could probably do a top 30 easily now with, I've got a cubby, you know, all these cubbies behind me. I've got one that's full of RWS decks, and it's literally like you have to take things out to look at it, and then they're scattered everywhere else as well, because there is a proliferation of RWS decks. And when I'm talking about RWS decks, I don't just mean any kind of tarot deck that follows the RWS tradition. For example, Tarot of the Witch's Garden or Everyday Witch, or any deck that kind of is of that tradition. What I'm talking about in terms of my favorite RWS decks is either decks that use Pixie's original art and has had something done to it or not, like change of colors, or it's a redrawing of Pixie's art, so it's heavily inspired by you know, the RWS, rather than Alice in Wonderland tarot that's of the RWS system, if that makes sense. But before I start, I can see lots of comments flying by, and I don't want to miss people, because I like, wherever possible, to make my CC&Cs interactive. And not that I do it very often, but sometimes I might be thinking about something and I'll think, what did I say at that point? And I'll go back and I'll look at a section. And then I see comments and I think, oh, why didn't I spot that comment? And I feel really bad. But it's really hard when there's a lot of people here and chatting. So in some ways, I like to think that you're chatting with each other as well, because that's what I do when I go to live chats. I love the interaction with other people watching. But if there's something for me, do tag me or put it in capitals, and I promise to try and look out for it. Callum's got a delicious dark roast with half and half. Sounds lovely. I'm expecting different versions, Simon. Well, maybe and maybe not. And being as there's 3 other versions of this out there, there might be some that was in original ones that have come back in and gone out. Cold water for me, it's hot. Double chocolate chip frappuccino, that sounds lovely. And hello, by the way, Inked Witchy Tarot. Stella Artois, you boozers. Nothing else to say. Simon, you're the best talker ever. But you do, when you start off doing content, you get that, you build yourself up for your first video, and then after that you're like, oh, now what? It's like when artists, as in recording artists, say, oh, that difficult second album, because they just work and focus on the first album, and then someone says, right, what are you doing for your next one? And you're like, I hadn't thought that far ahead. We're so glad you are still here sharing your love of RWS. Oppenheimer. That's a film, isn't it? It's doing really well over here, that and Barbie. And they done like a mashup, Barbenheimer or something, they're calling it, because it's kind of like saved the cinema industry in the UK. Now people are posting random Barbie. What? Oppenheimer is the movie I want to see this summer. Simon, first time I don't have a cuppa today. The temperature's down 95 degrees. It's been 102 in New York. Wow. Wow, hope it's not like that when I get there. Barbenheimer memes, that's it. Right, let's look for... Yes, Cat from Wild Earth Ways. Am I that far back, Giselle? Wow. Let's look. Hello, Amanda. Just seen that. I don't drink, Simon. Started the song. The song. Oh, the cider drinker. Don't feel bad, Simon. It's like visiting the local dance hall and catching up with people that you've not seen in a while. Yeah, I like that analogy. And hello, Jennifer. And hello, Naomi. Nice to see you as well. Simon, I received the cat tarot I'm loving. What a sleeper deck. The cat tarot that I showed the other week that was sent to me from Oneness Emporium. How is Montana? I've been to Montana. I've been to, when I went to Yellowstone Park, we went through Montana. A little bit of it. Is that where the Tetons is? Or is that Wyoming? They're very close, aren't they? Cold brew coffee. Oh, this year cost a stock doing it. All right, let's, if you need my attention, do tag or capitals. So, in 10th place. This is so hard. Again, trying to slot them as well, thinking, do I really prefer that over that one? It's really difficult for me. And even to just have 10, it's really difficult. Have I missed out? Evening, by the way. Is that you, Tony? I've just been talking about the Abba weekend. If this is Tony, Tony was the one in the video that came with us. Well, the four of us went together, but Tony was one of the people that was there on Sunday. I've been talking about the pint that I had in Soho, the cider. Yeah, and he wants monetizing every time I mention his name. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. If I don't get paid for this, you're not going to get paid for this. Right, so in 10th place is the Wiser Tarot. Now, this deck hasn't been in any of the others because it's only been released in the last 12 months. And it's a little gem, actually. When I first heard about it, I was like, okay, well, what is it? I mean, it credits on the front Arthur Edward Waite and Pam-A-Smith. But the Wiser, Samuel Wiser, I think it was the creator of a bookshop, an esoteric bookshop in Manhattan in New York. And it's very famous. And they also have been publishing works since I think the late 1950s. But I mean, the only thing I won't say I don't like about it, but the font I'm not that keen on. I love the inside. We've got the Ankh inside this yellow box. It's in a lovely, sturdy 2-part box. I could do that sort of. So yeah, the Ankh in the bottom, and then it's got the. It's not going to show up because it's too light, but it's got the. Oh yeah, there you go. Cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. It's got quite a nice little book, and it gives you the history of tarot, and then it brings it up into the Golden Dawn and Arthur Edward Waite and Pam-A-Smith. It does a tribute to Stuart Kaplan and also Samuel Wiser. But what I like about this deck is the cardstock is really nice. It's a nice, thick, chunky deck. I like the backs. I think the backs are really nice, but it's the colours that are beautiful. It's quite dramatic. Dirty Pam times 10. So you can see it's Pixie's artwork. They haven't changed the line work at all, but we've got these kind of textured colours to it. I mean, look at the sky here. Beautiful oranges for the wands cards. Gorgeous hermit. And this is really reasonably priced. I think I paid less than £20 this. It's mass market. It does change skin tones, so it's bringing it more kind of up to date. And yeah, it's color. It uses nice colors. So you've got these beautiful oranges for the wands. We've got these gorgeous purples for the swords. Greens, gorgeous greens for pentacles. But I really like the kind of the use of color. It's really gorgeous. Let's find some others. I mean, look at. I love, you know, when a new RWS deck is brought out, whether it's Dirty Pam, whether it's this one, I always check the Two of Swords, because you can do some. I've seen some beautiful versions of Two of Swords. The Devil card. Seeing them now, I'll have to whip out my Wiser again. Steady. I'd forgotten how gorgeous it is. It is really gorgeous, and it didn't get a lot of attention when it was released. I saw a few people talking about it. I wish the font was Pixie's calligraphy, but can't have it all. Look how beautiful the colours are for our Queen of Pentacles there, and the little rabbit really stands out. The colours are so saturated, gorgeous. Yeah. Let's see if there's any more that really kind of jump out. Here we've got the 8 of Swords. Here we've got collar look within the 3 of Swords. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course, we don't have to worry about the font on the minor cards. Steady on, matron. No, I thought that. I'll have to whip my Wiser out. So yeah, a little gem. And somebody messaged me the other day. Well, it was a message on one of my videos actually saying, or was it in the Hermit's Cave Facebook group? But anyway, someone was asking about an RWS deck and what to get. And I suggested either one of Conrad's decks on NPC, or if they wanted to get, you know, a reasonably priced deck that's mass market, then to try the Wiser. The colours are so pretty. Simon, thanks for showing this deck. I have the Wiser Tarot too. The colours are beautiful. Unfortunately, I forgot to use it. And that can happen, can't it? We can, you know, get a new deck, play with it a bit, put it on the shelf because another new deck comes in, and then we forget to go back to them sometimes. So I'm going to move them from this side to that side. Anybody here not seen the Wiser Tarot before? The colours are pretty. Okay, so next, I haven't seen it, says David. What do you think, David? In 9th place. Now, this was in my first top 10 RWS video 6 years ago, but hasn't been in it since. And I kind of forgot about it. And I mentioned Kat from Wild Earth Ways, and she showed this deck yesterday, and I watched it and I thought, do you know, I forgot how beautiful that deck is. So last night and this morning, I worked with it, and yeah, I just forgot. Even though a little pocket version came out recently, and it's the Universal Waite Tarot. Now, this is the set where it has the deck, and it also has the pictorial key to the tarot. So this is kind of a collaboration, although Pam-A wouldn't have had a say in it, of course. But it's the drawings of Pam-A, but recoloured by Mary Hanson-Roberts, who we will know from the Hanson-Roberts tarot. So it's that style. And when I got it, I bought this when I first started my channel back in 2017, and I got it at exactly the same time as I got the Radiant. And for some reason, I use the Radiant a lot, and I just, something about the Radiant now I just don't particularly gel with. I'm not quite sure why. But it has these starry backs. I would love to get an older version of this, because I think the original ones weren't as glossy as this version. Who actually does this one? It's US Games, I think. Yeah, US Games. See the logo there. But the nice thing about this version, if I show you, is the colours are very, very soft. So we're going from like the Waite Tarot, where it's quite bold, strong, saturated colours, to one that's quite soft and delicate. The thing that annoys me again is just the copyright all the way down there. But isn't it beautiful? Don't say that I just ordered it. What did you just order? Kerry says, the Universal Waite was my second ever deck, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's really nice, but it's one that I often forget about. Colours are really nice, soft. I mean, look at that moon card. Try not to get the glare on it. I have the Universal Waite. Lines are clearer than the original. I have the older version and trimmed it bits. It's my go-to deck. It's my go-to deck, is it? Yeah. The only problem with it now is it's a bit like if you buy the version you can get now of Albano Waite, it's quite a heavy, glossy. I'm surprised US Games are still doing that, really. But so yeah, and again, look how beautiful the Two of Swords is. I've just got a solid, you know, one block colour for the sky behind. I saw someone use whiteout on the copyright, Simon. Yeah, I need to. Is it a Posca pen? I've got some Posca pens, but I could just trim them, I guess, because there's a lined border all the way around, so I could trim them. But I love the Ukrainian RWS deck, the Fantasy Garden. I remember that, Beth. I remember seeing that. Robin, haven't you got that? I think you've got that, and that's where I saw it. Mary Hanson-Roberts was my first re-intro to tarot. Looks like soft coloured pencil. Yeah, it does. It does. Let's pop this back in the box. So that was number 8. No, sorry, that was number 9. Number 8 is a redrawn version. So we've got a special little Kelly pouch for this one. This is the Moon Baby Tarot, which is a updated version of the Hoi Polloi, which came out in 1973. I've got both versions of this. This is the one with the baby pink edges, which is really subtle. Actually, it's not showing up that much on here. But I've also got the second edition, which has, oops, that's all the little extra bits that Brent puts in, like a lime green edge, as you can see there. So it's a little bit more stand out than the powdery pink. Both gorgeous, but I had to get a backup. Well, one, I wanted to support a friend, but when the second version came out, I thought, well, there's my backup, and yeah, really glad I did. So I love the hoi polloi. It was the most I ever spent on a tarot deck at the time. Again, I think that was back in 2017. I spent over £100. But the seller contacted me and said it's basically sat in a drawer for nearly 50 years. And it was excellent quality. But the problem with it, you know, it was a very cheap game. It was budgeted as a game for the family. The cards were paper thin. The misprints in them are aplenty. So what Brant did, he took the art and he recolored it, but he kept that 70s vibe. But again, we've got these lovely soft, these are the backs with the key, lovely soft cards. The card stock is just exquisite. You have the Fantasy Garden deck though, don't you, Simon? No, I don't have Fantasy Garden. The Ukrainian RWS? No, Sandra, not me. I think it's Robin. I thought it was Robin. I don't know if you confirmed that or not. I was going to buy if I was going to buy RWS, I'd like a Moon Baby. Do you not have an RWS deck, Giselle? At all? Even, as in, I know you've got RWS Tradition, like Everyday Witch, but have you not got a Pamela Coleman-Smith RWS deck? How can this be? Look at it, so of its time, but it is absolutely beautiful, really beautiful. And we've got a gloriously pink devil. I don't think I know of this Ukrainian deck. Who was it then who's got Ukrainian deck? I thought it was you, Robin, but obviously not. There is one deck I've got, Deck Envy, that Robin's got. I forgot the name of it now. You've got a couple of versions of it. It's quite small, like a playing card size, and it's incredible, but it's quite expensive to try and hunt down and get. So yeah, Moon Baby Tarot, I adore. And I asked Kelly if she'd make me a pouch, and she's done all the colours, the pinks, greens, the oranges that appear in the deck. Oh, perfect. Ben showed it on his channel, but I really thought you had it too. No. I found the original tarot by Debris. Yeah, I've got the Debris ones. I've got about 3 different versions of them. Pink Devil, I knew Barbie was evil. My dear friend gifted me the Centennial, but I'd love this modern version. Ah, the Centennial. Yeah, that's a great one. I actually think my first ever RWS, well, no, my first ever one was the one that you get off from Waite-Smith, the Rider-Waite pack. But when I got into YouTube and started seeing it, the first one I bought, I think, was the Centennial, but it was the gift set with the books and everything. So, yeah. Paris de Bono. Yes, that's it, Robin. Love them. Really love them. Really fantastic. Okay, so number 7. Now, this deck is by Conrad Stain, and I was going to include, so I'll just tell you now, it's not in there. I was going to include the, oh my gosh, my mind has just gone blank on me. CS Tarot, and it's been in the others, but I've got a couple of Conrad decks, and I thought, well, either this one or the Centennial, and I looked at them both and thought, which one do I use the most? Which one do I like? So the one I've gone for is Pam's old deck. And out of all the vintage tarots, and there is the Lo Scarabeo vintage RWS, you can go on Etsy, you can go on NPC, anywhere, and get a vintage version of the RWS. For me, Pam's old deck is the vintage tarot. I think he did an amazing job with this. I love everything about it. I love the backs. I think the backs are gorgeous. It almost gives like a 3D effect, like you're looking through this gold lattice because of the shading of the green in the background. He used this version when he did the Hermit's hybrid deck, when I asked him if he'd do these cards with playing card pips, and he used the same backs because he used the images from Pam's old deck. But for a vintage deck, he's got the tone just right, because a lot of times when people do vintage versions, they oversaturate it with the vintagey kind of effect, and sometimes it distracts. For me, it distracts, and you don't see the images as clearly as you should. But the way that he's done it here is you've still got the beautiful line work. The colors are muted, but not so that they're, I mean, there was one, was it, that was released by US Games a couple of years ago, which was, I think it was called the Vintage Pam-A Smith or something like that. And it was so grayscaled that I just couldn't with it. But yeah, so the coloured skies and things have been removed, and we've got this kind of like a beige background. But he did a fantastic job with Pam's old deck. I love it. Michelle Ann, how are you? Nice to see you. So we still get the the rich red turret there, the beautiful foliage, green background, but it's toned down enough and aged enough, if you can see around the edges, without it being too much. I have the plastic edition of Pam's old deck. Shuffles like Dreamland, these backs. Yeah. I've thought about getting a plastic version as a backup, because I would hate anything to happen to this, because I love it so much. Simon, I love Conrad Stain version of the Dirty Pam NPC. Dirty Pam. Yeah, I think it's called Dirty. I'm not sure if it's called Dirty Pam, but I know which one you mean. Is it this one I've got out? This one? This was an interesting one because what this was his own deck that he'd had for years that he's provided thousands of readings to. It's a nice thick one. I love the way he does thick decks as well. And it was just scans of his actual tarot deck and how they look now after years and years of use. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's got all the original scratches and everything on it. So this is a bonus one to show you. So yeah, just as it looks now, his working deck that he doesn't know how much longer it's going to last for. So yeah, yes, she says it's this one. Yeah, so it's like a Roses and Lilies, but it's his own deck that he made a copy of. So yeah, Pam's old deck, absolutely a favorite of all the vintage types that are out there. Look how the blue is wearing off. There's the Fool. My Dirty Pam. Is that what it's called? My Dirty Pam. Okay. So that one is Pam's Old Deck by Conrad Stein. It is on MPC because it's a print on demand service. So yeah. That does look lovely. Better than my vintage looking decks. Some are too dark. Yeah, some are. And I think it's an easy mistake to make when somebody is like applying a vintage filter that they want to make it look that aged, that actually it can detract, you know what I mean? Okay, 6th place. Now, I couldn't believe it when I was sent this. It was sent all the way from Japan. And I had a tin made for it because I wanted to protect it. But this is the JK Waite, which I never thought I'd have a copy of. But it's by Alexandria Jupiter King. And that's why it's called the JK Waite. This is from, I believe, the early 1970s, either late 60s, early 1970s. And one of my subscribers in Japan, I never even knew at the time that I'd got people watching in Japan, contacted Kelly Bear because I'd bought some of Kelly Bear's pouches and said, would you give me contact information for Simon? I know you're friends. And Kelly contacted me and said, there's a lady in Japan who buys pouches from me and wants to gift you a deck. Never in a million years did I think it would be the JK Waite, because it was one of those unicorn decks, you know, where you think, oh, I'd love a JK Waite. So when it came, well, I think actually, if I remember rightly, she contacted me and said, I'm sending you the JK Waite. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she sent me this kimono pouch, which I love. And she sent me 2, and this one is the softer one. But she also sent me this gorgeous, and it's paper. I have shown it before, but it folds out to put a little bell inside. Okay. Or it can become, you fold it back down, it becomes a cushion. And this, it's really, really heavy, but it has the most beautiful chime. Oh, just absolutely gorgeous. And it sits out on my desk. I know I have, what you hear at the beginning of the videos is my, you know, my big chakra, crown chakra bell. But this one just has the most beautiful sound, wonderful resonance. And I treasure it. I always treasure what anybody sends to me. But yeah, so it was lovely. Anyway, so the J.K. Waite, it's kind of almost like University Press deck. It's got the beautiful colours. It is a redrawing of Pam-A Smith's artwork, but as you can see, so sometimes, you know, courts, they face the opposite way. You can see here that for the Nine of Pentacles, it's completely redrawn. John Travolta is a lot closer up here in the Nine of Cups. But it is stunning. It's really, really gorgeous. Look at that lion's expression. Hi, B. Yeah, so I was over the moon to receive this. I really was. Hello, Thace. John Travolta. Well, it is, isn't it? Everybody refers to the Nine of Cups card in the RWS as the John Travolta card. I love the High Priestess. Look at the colours. And again, this deck, you know, 50 years old, but look at the condition of it. It's pristine. The Fool, you know, going in a different direction. Hi, Kay. I was so busy doing housework that I forgot about CC&C today. How could I do that? That's okay. We do get engrossed in things sometimes. I'm always doing stuff like that. Love the Magician card. Oh, yeah, and look at the Eight of Cups. Gorgeous red here in the background. Yeah, I just think it's stunning. Look at the Death card. Uncloaked. Hi, Sheila. Good to catch you live. Good to see you. Hope you're okay. High Priestess was a man. High Priestess was a man. No. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful pink as well. Look. Look at the different shades and colours of the sky. Beth, this is the J.K. Waite. If you ever see it on like eBay or something like that, it's literally, it goes for hundreds. So I just, like I said, it was the unicorn deck for me. I always wanted a vintage Albano, a vintage JK, and a vintage University Books, and I got the other two, and I just didn't think this was, you know, a possibility. Look at the colours in the clouds. I wish Mary Hanson Roberts would recolour the Toth deck. Well, she's not with us anymore, is she? Gorgeous Two of Swords. So look at the Hermit. We'll finish with the Hermit. Glorious. Me with beer budget and champagne tastes again. I can relate, Beth. I can relate. All right, so we're halfway through. It's 8:05 already. Okay, have a sup of my latte. So, in 5th place, Now, I had to take a deck out because I'd got the Albano Waite and I'd got University Press decks. And I looked at them both, and the one that won out is the Albano Waite. Now, this, I believe, is 1968 version. I did have a modern version. In fact, Sandra, I think you sent it me because I trimmed my modern version and I messed it up big time. And Sandra, you was really kind enough to send me a replacement deck as a gift, which was a lovely surprise. And then I had the opportunity, I can't remember what I traded for. Oh, yes, I can. It was, I had a rare blue box that wasn't a blush and fall, but it was rare because of the number in sequence. There was like an error in it or something, and Brant really wanted that deck. And he said, tell me what you want and I'll trade for it. And I says, well, have you got a vintage Albano Waite? And he was like, yes, and that would be a fair swap. So we swapped. And thank goodness, because then if you buy the Albano Waite now, you've got a beautiful, beautiful tarot deck. But it's like what I just showed you for the Universal. It's got heavy lamination on it, and it's quite, whereas this doesn't have any lamination at all. It's like the 1970s decks where it's just the card. They are a little bit thin because that's how they were. That's the backs with the sun image on them. And I won't show you all of the majors, but what was gorgeous about the Albano Waite, look at that purple, is that he, I believe, was one of the first to kind of categorize the suits into colours. I'll probably be corrected on that, but that's what I remember hearing once. I love the red sky in the death card. I love the rainbow with the temperance card as well. The devil's got purple wings. I mean, come on. Beautiful colours in the star, the moon, and the sun. So when we get to the pips, I love your glass Simon, thank you. It's on Costa. It's a coffee cup. Yeah, we've got these gorgeous kind of burnt sienna, and it's perfect for the wands. But then, interestingly, I mean, as you can see, for all the wands, they've got these beautiful orangey backs. The courts do their own thing. So we've got like these different shades of blues. The Pentacles has this gorgeous kind of like a lime green, except for the indoor scene, where you can't really have it because you don't see sky. But for the rest of them, you know, they've got these beautiful greens. And then for their courts, we have lilacs, gorgeous lilacs. Then we have lemon colour for the swords, for their backgrounds. Until you get, you see the lemon backgrounds. Then you get to the 8, and it's got a darker colour. Obviously, they're nighttime ones. Different shades of blue for the courts. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because when it gets to the cups, we've got this kind of duck egg blue, as you can see, going all the way to the 4. And then we've got this olive green. And I guess, you know, it's the energy of the 5 that they're trying to, well, it just stands out against the others. Oh, look how beautiful that is. Just gorgeous. I love the Albano Waite. But yeah, so this is the version where it's like a nice, it looks quite shiny, but it's like a, there's hardly, it's just kind of like the shiny card. So yeah, Albano Waite. Just looking for any capitals or tags. Okay, I think I'm doing all right for time. I need to, I've got 3 left. All right, so the 3rd place was a really difficult choice because it's a Conrad Stein deck, and he released 5 decks, which was the Roses and Lilies 1909, and then the Pam-A, Pam-B, Pam-C, and Pam-D. And I was going to say, you know, the Pam collection, but I thought, no, what I'll do is actually choose my favorite out of all of them. And it was a really tough decision because I've got, let me lift this up so you can see. Here, look, I've got the Roses and Lilies. I'll put that the wrong way around when I was going through. Pam-A, Pam-B, Pam-C, and Pam-D. But my 2 favourites are the 1909 Roses and Lilies, which I had him do me an extra set on thick cardstock, because the original decks were thick cardstock. So if you see somebody like Esther from Mindful Tarot, she's got a Pam-A. It's a thick deck. So I had to decide between the 2, and I love them both. So I got a Pam-A in thick with the crackle backs, and the Roses and Lilies 1909 in thick. But I've gone for Pam-A. I think out of that whole collection, if I had to choose, and thankfully I don't, only for the purpose of this this video, the Pam-A for me just edges it. I think it is a stunning version. And the idea, I mean, the 1909 was only out for a few months, and then the Pam-A was released in 1910. Just, what was it, 5-6 months after the 1909. So for whatever reason, you know, they stopped printing the 1909. And then came up with the Pam-A, and this is what then went into print with Ryder and Son. It's just, it's the original, isn't it? You know, if we think of RWS, yes, there's all the different reprints from US Games, but these don't have any copyrights or anything, and they just feel, the cards, I mean, MPC, I can't fault them at all for their cardstock. Absolutely gorgeous quality. But this thick cardstock is just, I mean, they just slide together. It's fantastic. Love it. So yeah, Conrad Stein's Pam-A from Make Playing Cards is my 3rd place deck. I love MPC, to be honest. Yeah, I do too. I really do. And I know some people say, oh, I struggle to I've gone wrong. I've got 3 decks left. I was about to show this, but I didn't put it in. Why have I not put it in? Oh, I was going to show the Dirty Pam. It's here on my desk, but I haven't listed it in the top 10. This is the problem. I've got too many that I like, but I'll honorary mention the Dirty Pam because this deck, and it was strange. This was released by Lo Scarabeo, and it's we affectionately call it the Dirty Pam, but it was the Pam-A-Smith tarot deck. And I shouted about this years ago, and nobody was just kind of like, oh, it's just another RWS. And then all of a sudden, it went out of print. Well, no, it carried on printing, but it was just the kind of what I've just showed. It didn't have the dramatic colours or anything like that. So people were like, hold on a minute, that deck it doesn't appear like it does. And then it was brought out as the Radiant Wise Spirit, and it was borderless and glossy, and it wasn't like this. And this was my working deck for years. If anybody bought a reading from me, it was the trimmed version because Kelly Bear trimmed it for me when I first went to hers. And then when the magazine was released in the UK of what was it called? Total Tarot. The first 2 issues had the 2 halves of this. And look how gorgeous the 2 of Swords is. So people were able to get it again. And I bought about 4 copies of each. So I've got plenty of backups of this. But when they released the Radiant Wise Spirit as a mini, it was back as this with borders and the same cardstock rather than the large. So it got very confusing. But anyway, I forgot. It's out here and I forgot to list it in the top 10. But then what else would have gone in its place? Maybe Universal. Maybe Wiser, actually. Might have took Wiser's place. But RWS is public domain right now. Yes. I think it was 2020, I think, where people could start using the images, where the copyright, I think is it something like 70 years after Pam-A-Smith's death or something like that. But okay, so second place deck. Oh, I love this deck. This almost made number 1. I keep it, if you see my videos recently where I've got Giselle's lovely spread cloth, and then there's a little box. This deck I adore, and it's a relatively new one, and it's redrawn. But it'd be no surprise because I've banged on about this deck for the longest time, and it's the Retina Waite-Smith. It's absolutely stunning. It's by Destiny. It's redrawn and obviously recolored because it's redrawn. Doesn't have Pixie's calligraphy. I mean, look at the light in the background. It almost looks like it's pulsating. The sharpness and clarity of the images. The cardstock is that like Moon Baby Tarot, where it's just beautiful cardstock. I use this daily. I haven't been able to pull it down. I kind of wish I'd got a backup copy because it's yay Retina. It's just stunning. It's matte, even though you can see a shine there. It is purely matte cardstock. That light's quite bright, that's why it's doing that. But yeah, just everything about this. The backs are just gorgeous. The whole deck is just, it's luxury. And it's everything I wanted. You know, I used to think, what would my perfect RWS be? It would be one that's beautiful cardstock, perhaps some lovely gilding, sharp, crisp images, beautiful colours. And this deck ticks all the boxes. The only thing, because there always is one thing with me, and I've actually sent an email to Mate saying, you know how you always bring out second versions? The only thing I would change would be to add in, it's probably because of copyright, but I would add in Pixie's calligraphy. And then this deck would just be everything. Destiny has orgasmic cardstock, if you excuse the expression. You're absolutely right. Simon is the log lady. The log lady? I mean, look at the colours. Look how beautiful it is. And it feels beautiful to shuffle. And you know when people say, I really don't like RWS, I don't like the artwork, I would say, try this one, because, you know, what is there not to love? Look, I love the shadow effect. Look at the shadows as well. They were added in when it was redrawn. Singh Poon Fat is the artist. Mate Horror Number is the guy behind Destiny. But yeah, just look how the shading. Is this like CC&C, the Carry On edition? Sandra, can I have a feel of it next week? I don't know, you lot. The log lady is from Twin Peaks. I never watched Twin Peaks. I know there was a huge hype around it at the time, but the Two of Swords is one of my favourite from the RWS. Two of Swords is gorgeous, isn't it, Giselle? I love Two of Swords. Did I show it from the Retina? And it's a chunky deck because the cardstock is just so wonderful. Anybody else have the Retina? David, did you have it with you saying, yay, Retina? Was that one that you got? Yeah, look at that. Look at the different shades in the sky and the shadow look again at the bottom. Just beautiful. Love this deck. And that's my significator card, and I love it. Charmin Caselli, yeah, it's a good one. No, I just want it. I think there is a second edition coming out. The problem is, Destiny decks, I mean, they're a company based in Thailand, but they only make so many. Usually have a 500 or 1,000, and they fly out. Not so much over here because there's the shipping and stuff, but by the time I get them, there's only like a few left. So and then people say, oh, I've tried to get it, but it's out of print, because they go so quickly, the decks, because of the quality of them. They just, yeah, so they tend to do a second edition. So I think they normally start off with something like 500, see how they go, and then they bring out a second edition. They make some modifications. You're not getting exactly the same thing. But, okay. So that brings you to my number one. It's no brainer. So my number one, I keep in this kimono tarot pouch, which was sent to me again from that lovely subscriber. And this hasn't changed. It hasn't changed since the very first one. It's my Blushing Fool. And I don't think this will ever not be my number one. It just, unless you have a Blushing Fool and hold a Blushing Fool in your hand, not necessarily even a Blushing Fool, the blue box 1971 to 1973, there it is. Yeah, it's always going to be there. Again, this is pre-copyright. The line work is beautiful. The colours, this deck is 51 years old now. And it's just everything. It's soft like butter. Just quality. And it is that deck, you know, that deck, if you could, you've got to leave home, you've got to grab one. I mean, I'll try and grab a few more, but this would be the one that I would grab first. And I so looked out when I got this. I ended up getting two, and I traded one for a yellow box Blushing Fool, but that didn't feel the same as the blue box Waddington's Fitzroy Square one. What was I saying? I forgot what I was going to say about where I was going to go with that. But yeah, it's that one deck that I don't ever want to be without, and I would hate anything to happen to it. But that's what I was saying. I'm back. I really looked out on this because I didn't know when I ordered it that it was a Blushing Fool. The person selling it didn't know it was a Blushing Fool. It was just a vintage RWS deck, and I paid £30. And I was chatting to somebody on Instagram, and they kind of knew, because I was saying to them, "Oh look, I managed to get this old deck." And when it came and it was a Blushing Fool, I couldn't believe it because I got it for £30. And the person said, "I knew, but I didn't want to get your hopes up just in case." So there's the little oh shit scribble. But look how soft it is. And it literally felt like it's never ever been used. There isn't a single blemish on any card anywhere. Again, it's like one of those decks that's just, they had it, they put it away, they forgot about it for 50 years or almost 50 years, 45 years time I got it. And it is pristine. It's like it's been through a time warp. But it's everything. So that's my, wow, how lucky, Simon. I know. I think I paid 85 for mine. I paid 103, I think, for my second Blushing Fool, because when I saw this, I thought, I can't be, if anything happened to this, I need a backup. And it just, it's almost silent because it's so soft. These are some of my least favorite decks. Yeah, and it's not going to be for everybody, you know, for me, you know, Toth is my least favorite decks, but a Toth lover wouldn't appreciate me saying it. But I think you just have to, I think with RWS, you either love it or you don't. It can be quite marmitey. You know, some people really love them, like me. Others are like, yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me. And I get it, because, you know, Lady Frida Harris's artwork just leaves me feeling cold. But anyway, let's pull a card, because we're at 8:30. Oh, least favorite backs. The plaid back. I missed a deck. You said one was honourable. Yes, so that was the Dirty Pam. The Dirty Pam deck. I missed it out. Kelly's nearly back. Yeah, it's the same, but with purple. Well, similar. I don't know RWS meanings yet. All right. Oh, we have the Page of Swords, the eternal student. Maybe our message for this week is to firstly accept that we don't know it all, which can be quite humbling. We've all got capacity to learn. I'm a huge believer in lifelong learning and that it's never too late. So maybe the message this week is, accept that we don't know the answers to everything. We don't have knowledge in all areas. And maybe it's that time now to start learning something else, or something we've perhaps thought about doing, but not gotten around to doing it. And, we say to ourselves, well, I'll look at learning that at some point. One day I'll get to that. So yeah, maybe time to take on some new studies. It could even be a time of self-discovery. When we think about the Page of Swords, then, sometimes it's about going inwards as well and learning new things about ourselves, or things that we haven't really got into, kind of spending that quality time to dig deep as well. And when we learn new things, we go on a journey of self-discovery anyway, don't we? We find ourselves sometimes in our quest for extra knowledge and extra insights. So time is now, if we've been thinking about taking on some new studies or going on a journey of self-discovery. Thank you, everybody. It's been fun to nerd out on RWS. I don't need much of an excuse. But yeah, it's been nice to think about how, with the kind of RWS decks that keep coming out, to see if any new ones are joining those favorite lists, or whether my old tried and tested are still where they need to be. So there was some new ones in there, but I think if even in 10 years from now, if I'm revisiting this again, I still think that this one will always be my number one. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. I don't know if I'll be on much in the week ahead. Sandra is coming to stay on Tuesday till the end of the week. So no doubt we'll do some vlogging of our trips. We're going to the seaside. We're going to see Major Oak. So we'll do some vlogging and I'll upload that towards the end of the week. But then I'll be back here next Saturday. Oh, actually, no, I'm dog sitting next weekend. I don't know if they'd appreciate me going live from their house. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.